Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NFL Fade the Public video for Week 14 of the NFL regular season this Sunday, December the 12th. I'm going to give you the four most public NFL sides for this Sunday, tell you where the public is heavy this weekend, and why you might want to take a closer look at those games just to be cautious. By the way, also some serious line movement on the totals, the look-ahead totals in all four of these games, which I'm going to touch on as well, covering both early and late games for the NFL. A couple of 1 o'clock Eastern kickoffs, a late 4 o'clock, and then your Sunday night game, Sunday night NBC between the Bears and Packers is included in this NFL Fade the Public video for Week 14, December the 12th, coming up in just a moment. Hey, quick reminder, my official NFL best bets are locked and loaded for this weekend, Sunday and also Monday Night Football. Don't forget, it's always $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. Get my advanced NFL best bet for Monday Night Football, Rams-Cardinals, right now for just $9 on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. While you're there, though, don't miss out on my first 5% side selection of the season in the NFL. In fact, it's been over 2 years since I've had a 5% side selection in the NFL, and it goes this Sunday. It is absolutely a fantastic play. I love this side. It's the best play I've seen all season in the NFL, and you do not want to miss it. And that's why it's my one and only 5% NFL side selection going this Sunday, December 12th. It's available right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Hey, quickly, don't forget about basketball. You know, last year, number one ranked overall in college and pro hoops. In fact, the past 2 years combined, number one at WagerTalk.com. 64% start this year in NBA and college hoops combined as we head into the weekend. Very special offer. Buy one, get one free for college and pro basketball. I know we're talking NFL football here, but don't forget about basketball. Normally it's $179 for a 30-day NBA or college hoops package. I'm going to give you both for the price of one. Buy one, get one free. Get both a full 30 days of college and pro basketball for just $179, but you must have promo code HOOPS179, HOOPS 179. HOOPS 179 gets you a full 30 days of college and pro, a 2-for-1 special in basketball as well. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, let's look at the four most public sides in the NFL for Week 14 this Sunday, December 12th. First couple games go at 1 o'clock Eastern. We're going to start off in rotation order. Tennessee Titans, as public as any side I saw this week, and that, of course, is at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Currently, Tennessee is an 8.5 to 9-point favorite. Now, this is something I want to talk about because it applies to actually three different games this week. We've seen lines around that dead number of 9. And the reason I say a dead number is because there's only about a 1% chance that teams win by 9. It's a very unlikely margin. Games usually land on 8 or 10 instead. Obviously, 7, a very key number as well. But sportsbooks have to be very careful with teaser liability. And actually, earlier this week, Arthur DeCesar from the Westgate in Las Vegas was on Wager Talk today with myself and the Prez. I really highly recommend going back and watching the segment we did. It's about 30 minutes into the show. Keep in mind, all these episodes are archived right here, 24/7, every day of the week on Wager Talk TV. But this past Wednesday, and that would be December the 8th, episode, we talked to Arthur about teasers and how the sharps really beat the NFL teasers and how the sportsbooks have to be cautious. And a lot of times when a line should be 8 or 8.5, they'll make it 9 or 9.5 just so you can't tease it down below a field goal on a 6-point teaser. And that's the example here. Obviously, Tennessee makes a pretty good teaser play. I wouldn't disagree. Getting them down to 2.5 or less puts them in a basic straight-up win situation. The Titans are coming off back-to-back losses, but they had the bye last week, so I do think this is a good bounce-back spot. So fully understand why the public is on board here. I'm really not going to play this from a side perspective, but I do think Tennessee at 2.5 makes a good teaser play. Very hard for me to back Jacksonville. They're obviously a square play. 4 straight losses straight up. They failed to cover 3 straight. Last week on this video, the Rams were a very public side. They got it done easy, 37-7 over the hapless Jaguars, who are now 2-10 on the season. So fully understand why the public is fading Jacksonville once again this week, and it's hard for me to disagree. Once again, though, if you're looking at Tennessee, I think they're a better teaser play. You can get them down to 2.5 or less. Should be a focus spot for the Titans off the bye after back-to-back losses. By the way, the advanced look-ahead line a week ago was 9. Jacksonville gets blown out. It's still 8.5, 9 here. But that's, of course, because Tennessee did not play. Now, at the top of the video, I mentioned these over-unders we're going to touch upon quickly. All 4 of the games on this Fade the Public video, the over-under is about 3 to 4 points lower than the advanced look-ahead line. It's kind of a weird fluke. Now, Jacksonville has gone under the total straight for about 7 straight games, going all the way back to early October, the last time they've gone over. Their offense has been miserable. That's why they have trouble as a big underdog last week against the Rams. When they get behind, they just can't catch up. They don't throw the ball well at all. They're a run-based offense, basically, which is always bad news when you're trailing. Look-ahead line on this at different books varied from anywhere from 46 to 50 a week ago, and now the posted line is 43.5. So the look-ahead was about 46 to 50 range at different books. Now it's 43.5. So we've seen this total come down quite a bit. Once again, public is heavy on the Tennessee Titans this week. Other game at 1 o'clock Eastern this Sunday, December 12th, is the Seattle Seahawks, as they once again are fading another terrible team in the Houston Texans. However, unlike the Jacksonville, Tennessee spot, I think you could make an argument that this is not a good spot for Seattle. Once again, Tennessee's coming off back-to-back losses in the bye week. They should be focused. Seahawks, though, were actually a play-against team last week, and we've seen this happen a few times this year. It's really fascinating. The public fades a team one week, they lose, and they come right back and get on that team the next week. And as you all know, the public is often a day late and a dollar short, and that could be the case here. Seattle Seahawks were not liked by the public last week. In fact, public went 3-1 last week on the Fade the Public video here, and they had a huge week overall, just crushed the sports books. That often means they don't do too well the following week. The one game in which the public was wrong last week, as you all that watch this every week know, was this Seattle-San Francisco game. Seahawks pulled out the outright home upset as a 3.5-point dog, won that game 30-23 against the Niners. They have a huge look-ahead spot next week at the LA Rams, and now they play a terrible non-conference opponent on the road. So the Seahawks go from losing 3 straight up and against the spread. This is a team that was really floundering on the season. Before last week's game, they were just 3-8 overall. They pulled a home upset win, and now they're laying more than a touchdown on the road. I'd be cautious with this one. Hey, look, it's hard for me to make a case for Houston. They're the worst offensive team in the league by far. Jacksonville's bad. Houston's even worse. Houston averages just 13.5 points a game, just 4.5 yards per play. But they are making a switch at quarterback, and we always look for a catalyst for maybe a bad team to start to turn things around. Tyrod Taylor did not play well since he come back from the injury over the past month. In fact, if you look at his numbers, the past 4 starts, drastically lower than what they were before he got hurt in mid-September. So the Texans have decided for the rest of the season, starting this weekend, to go back to Davis Mills, the rookie quarterback out of Stanford. And I think that's a move that could actually help the Texans. It's definitely not going to hurt them. Tyrod Taylor's been terrible the last few weeks, and this is a young rookie that does have some upside. He was a 3rd-round draft pick out of Stanford, should get better as he plays. And if you look at his overall numbers, keep in mind he started 6 games from mid-September through October when Tyrod Taylor was out with injury. And he didn't play well, but he didn't play any worse than Taylor. And he should continue to get experience as the season goes on. In fact, he's had a quarterback rating of 79.5 or higher in 2 of the last 3 games. He actually played pretty well against the Rams a couple starts back on Halloween, 2 starts ago back at the end of October. Had a 106 passer rating against the Rams, who are a pretty good pass defense overall. So I do think there's a little bit of upside here with Davis Mills, and that could be that little bit of that catalyst, the spark that the public is missing on this game. So once again, not a surprise at 1 o'clock Eastern Sunday, the public is fading the 2 worst offensive teams in the league, the Jags and the Texans. Difference between those 2 games, though, is that Tennessee looks like they're in a focus spot, shouldn't overlook a bad Jacksonville team. Meanwhile, Seattle, who's a weaker team to start with, is in a bad spot, yet still laying almost the same as this line is 8.5. So this is one where I think the public might be wrong on Sunday. Going to look at the 2 late games for you. 4 o'clock Eastern game. Oh, quickly, by the way, in that Seattle game, the Vance line on that was 6.5, and now it's 8.5. So that's what I wanted to bring up. Seattle pulls the upset of San Francisco, goes from being a 6.5-point favorite to now an 8.5, crossing that key number of 7, obviously, on the road. So once again, less line value now with the Seahawks as well. Look ahead over-under was 44.5, and we're now seeing that total at 40.5. So obviously it's dropped down because Tyrod Taylor's not starting, I guess, but he's actually been worse than Mills. So I think that's an overreaction also. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Houston Texans maybe play a little bit better offensively than expected. Let's look at the 2 late games at 4 Eastern, and also that Sunday nighter between the Bears and Packers here in just a moment. Quick reminder, my official best bets. You know, I don't always disagree with the public. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree. I use this as a filter, an overall handicapping filter. And by the way, those of you that are joining us for the first time, last year I started this video in late November and did it all the way through the Super Bowl. Fading the most public sides and totals each week, went 31-7. It had a fantastic run. We started it at the beginning of the season this year. I told everybody it won't be as strong in September and October. The lines become sharper. The extra line value becomes more important here in November and December. Well, that's definitely been the case. Going into last weekend, the previous 5 weeks had been 13-4 fading the public. As I mentioned, the public had a good week last week. They went 3-1, so we're now 14-7 fading the public the last 6 weeks on this video since late October. So it's working well once again down the stretch. I just told you Tennessee and Seattle, very public sides on the early card. I'm going to give you the two other most public sides on the late and nighttime card for Sunday in just a moment. But if you want my official best bets for this Sunday pro football, also Monday Night Football, it's locked and loaded right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. And by the way, I've got a bonus free play for you in the NFL. Bonus free play up there right now on my page at WagerTalk.com. And don't forget about basketball. Well, first of all, first 5% side of the season, that's pretty important in the NFL, as I mentioned earlier. First time all year. In fact, first time in over 2 years, I've had a 5% side selection in the NFL. I just love a game. It's not one that we've talked about here on the video, by the way. It's not one of these games. It's up there right now at WagerTalk.com. Also an additional free play as well, another game that we didn't touch upon on this video. So just a ton of information for this Sunday between the best bets, the free play information here, and the free plays at WagerTalk.com. But don't forget about basketball. My number one ranked basketball this season, 64% start NBA and college hoops combined. Last year I started 25-7 in college basketball the first 2 months. I always get off to hot starts, and that's why I'm giving you a buy one, get one free, a 30-day basketball package for half price. Normally it's $179 for 30 days of college or pro. You don't have to decide. You get them both for $179, but you must have promo code HOOPS179, HOOPS 179, HOOPS 179. Gets you 30 days and nights of both college and pro basketball for $179. HOOPS 179, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Let's look at the two late games that made the Fade the Public video this week. The most public side at 4 o'clock Eastern is the LA Chargers, and they're taking on the New York Giants at home. Currently anywhere from a 9 to 10 point favorite. And here we go again, that dead number of 9. That's the theme of the show this week, right? How careful the sports books have to be because of teaser liability. There's some spots that have 9. I see some that have 9.5 as we head into the weekend. I even see some 10s out there, so shop around. Obviously 10 a very key number. About a 1% chance the Chargers win by 9, about a 5% chance they win by 10. So a plus 10 or more, there is some line value with the Giants here. And the look-ahead line a week ago was going to be just 7.5. Now, the line did pop a little bit earlier this week because Mike Glennon was ruled out early, and it looked like Jake Fromm was going to make his first start ever, the second-year quarterback out of Georgia who was claimed off the practice squad from Buffalo a couple weeks ago when Daniel Jones was knocked out. Mike Glennon became the starter. Glennon had a concussion last week, but he did clear protocol about a day ago as we head into the weekend. Mike Glennon is now expected to start another game. Not sure this is good or bad for the Giants. He was not good last week, and he's been a very mediocre journeyman out of NC State for the last 8+ years in the NFL. The Buccaneers, of course, picked him up way back in 2013. About half his starts came the first couple years. He's just been a journeyman backup since. Really bad showing last week against the Dolphins. Quarterback rating of just 54 in that game. And interception, averaged just 4 yards per pass attempt. Just terrible numbers. So to be honest, Jake Fromm might have been a better option. At least there's some upside with the unknown second-year guy out of Georgia as opposed to the known journeyman backup in Mike Glennon. And look, this Giants offense has been bad for several years now, as we know. They fired Jason Garrett a few weeks ago as the offensive coordinator. And, yeah, they got the spark. They beat the Eagles, but it wasn't because of the offense. That was a 13-7 win, in which they had only about 264 total yards of offense in that game. The reason they beat the Eagles is because they had a 4-0 turnover edge. 4-0 turnover edge, and they only beat them 13-7. That tells you something. They only put up 9 points last week against Miami. And if you'll recall, Dolphins were one of those very public sides that the public cashed with last week. So not a surprise that they're coming right back and fading the Giants once again. But if this line hits 10 or more, you've lost the line value. The look ahead was 7.5. It's now 9, 9.5, even 10 out there as we head into the weekend. So keep an eye on this one. The Chargers at 4 o'clock Eastern Sunday, a very public side. And by the way, looking at the total once again, the look-ahead line a week ago was 47. It's now 43. These totals have really dropped. Not a surprise. The Giants have now gone under 6 straight. In fact, they've not had an over since early October. Just like that Jacksonville streak I talked about. Just bad. Some really bad offensive teams. Look, the public has faded 3 teams so far on this video. Jacksonville, Houston, and the Giants. 3 of the worst offensive teams in the league. You see the theme here. And it's hard to make a case for these big, ugly dogs because when they get behind, they don't have good passing attacks, and they can't play from behind and get that backdoor cover. So it is treacherous to back these teams. But once again, at 10 or more, I think there is probably some line value with the Giants at that point, but buyer beware. Their offense is pretty bad. Let's look at the Sunday night game. Hey, another bad offensive team, the Chicago Bears, right? But Justin Fields, rookie quarterback out of Ohio State, is coming back. The public, though, doesn't care. They're still fading them. They're backing the Packers. And this, once again, is the Sunday night game on NBC at 8:20 Eastern this Sunday evening, December 12th. So the sportsbooks will have some huge liability on the Packers, most likely. And that is why we've seen this line rise from an opener of 11 up to 12.5. The look ahead a week ago was anywhere from 11 to 12, 12.5. That's where it stands. If you like the Packers, you probably want to grab the 12.5 now. 12 is a dead number. It's not going to go back down to 11, but I would expect it to probably hit 13 or higher at many books by Sunday night. So if you like the Packers, you play it early at 12.5 or less. If you like the Bears, I'd wait and grab a 13 or higher, which should start to become available on Sunday. Justin Fields is interesting, though. This is a guy that's obviously got tremendous upside as the 11th pick overall out of Ohio State this year in the first round. Really played poorly back in September. He got a start in that second week against the Rams, or actually that opener against the Rams. He came in, had 2 pass attempts, and then he played a little bit more the next couple games with about 13 and 20 attempts, had just terrible numbers. But then when he became kind of the go-ahead quarterback in October, he started to improve. In fact, if you throw out those first 3 starts, he had quarterback ratings basically 41 or less in the 2 games before, and then he had 81 and 83 and 91. 75, a bad outing against the Bucs in that 38-3 loss. But then he had a couple more good outings against the 49ers, the Steelers, and then he got injured, came back against the Ravens, was mediocre. But I think he will continue to play better as he gets more experience. This is an upgrade for them. In fact, 5 of his last 6 outings, he's averaged more per pass attempt than the Bears have averaged overall as a team this year. So he's been above average the other quarterback options, including Andy Dalton, who has played more recently. And look, I don't think that Fields is necessarily going to come in and do wonders against a good Packers secondary, but that maybe could be that spark or catalyst that gets things going for, once again, another underdog the public is fading that has a bad offense, and that would be the Chicago Bears. Once again, the public likes the Packers on Sunday night. And by the way, Green Bay's been a pretty good point spread team this year, to say the least. They got blown out in that first week against New Orleans. Those of you who watched Week 1 remember the Packers were a very public side back in Week 1. Saints blew them out, 38-3. Packers have gone 10-1 against the spread their last 11 games since. 9-2 straight up, 10-1 against the spread since that Week 1 loss. And the public is backing them here. They're coming off the Ram game, though. I don't want to say they're going to overlook Chicago on Sunday night at home, but they are coming off a big win against the Rams, and they do have a game against the Ravens on deck. But it should be a focus spot for Green Bay. Chicago, meanwhile, is coming off that loss against Arizona last week. So the public likes on Sunday afternoon. And by the way, on the total on this one, 45.5 was the look ahead. It's now 43. We'll keep an eye, of course, on weather in Green Bay, as you always have to do this time of year. Once again, the public likes 4 sides this Sunday, Week 14, December 12th. At 1 o'clock Eastern, the public likes the Tennessee Titans -9, Seattle Seahawks -8.5. 4 o'clock Eastern, they like the Chargers. That's anywhere from -9 to -10 right now. And at 8 o'clock Eastern Sunday night, the public likes the Green Bay Packers -12.5. Hey, I hope you found this information useful. Don't forget, use it as a filter. It's not a pure play against all the time, but fading the public late in the season last year went 31-7 right here on this video, and it's 14-7 the last 6 weeks on this video. Even though the public won last week, still 14-7 the last 6 weeks, 67% fading these most public sides each week. So use it as a filter in your handicapping arsenal. Make sure you're getting extra line value if you do like a public side, because you're normally giving up some line value there. And also, don't forget, if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, a like. Make sure you're subscribed to WagerTalk TV. Hit the subscribe button. We're getting ever closer to 100,000 subscribers. And make sure you hit that bell. If you want instant alerts when this video is posted each and every week right here on this channel, hit the bell. You get an instant alert and be the first to take advantage of this fade the public information. Hey, most importantly, leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this Sunday, Week 14 in the NFL. Let me know which sides you agree with or disagree with here on the most public sides. And most importantly, don't miss out on my strong best bets. I've got my first 5% NFL side at WagerTalk.com this season, and I love it. It's a blowout. I love this situation. This setup, the line is way off. It is not one of the games we mentioned here, and you do not want to miss it. My first NFL 5% side selection best bet from Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Also have a bonus play there for you for free on that page. And one final thought once again about basketball. I know we're talking football here in this video, but basketball is a great moneymaker. I was number 1 last year in college hoops with that 25-7 start the first 2 months. Number 1 this year in college and pro basketball combined, hitting over 64% to start the season. You can get 2 sports, college and pro hoops for the price of one. Normally, it's $179 for a month of college or pro. You don't have to decide. You get them both for the price of one. A 2-for-1 special, full 30 days and nights of college and pro basketball for just $179, but you must have promo code HOOPS179, HOOPS 179. Hoops 179 gets you a full 30 days of all basketball for just $179. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to check out WagerTalk TV each and every day right here on this channel for great free information. Subscribe, like, and comment below. And most importantly, have yourself a huge winning Sunday in the NFL. I'll talk to you again soon right here on WagerTalk TV. Best of luck.